Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is Sunday afternoon and it's time for the return of the dignified Sunday Blether, a depleted Sunday Blether team. Yes, gather round, dear viewers, I shall tell you a tale, because also on Friday, if you were tuned in, you may have saw a wild David Logue appear for the first time in ages. And near the end of the show, we promised that we would have the Sunday Blether team back together. We obviously mentioned how David Logue is going through the house move from hell, where everything that can go wrong does go wrong, but we thought it was over. The cam had finally set in, he was all ready to go. No, he had a joiner in, and the joiner did some damage to his fibre optic cable. He's now waiting on BT to come out and fix it again. So he's now out of action once more. So I was like, don't worry, I'll step in and fix it. I'll host it today. But as you can see, after David Logue returned on Friday night, look who's back on a Sunday afternoon. Reegan Stevenson, it's been quite a while. How you doing, man?
It's been a long month I've been on the bus, but I thought people thought I'd be chucked off the bus, but no, I'm here.
Certainly not, mate. You run the bus.
Ready to go. No, it's been good to be back on, and I'm looking forward to seeing Celtic putting on a good showing today at Tynecastle, because I'm expecting it to be a very tough game. But I'm also expecting 3 massive points for.
Yeah, that's most important thing today, because that's also on for it is the rather unusual kickoff time of 2:15 today. That's why the Sunday Blether, which would usually be on at like before lunchtime, it's like, well, we may as well go a bit closer to kickoff time. So that's why we're on at 1 today. And yeah, Stuart Miller is telling us that the lineups are out. So once I've done all that good stuff, we will obviously come to the lineups. So of course, remember, folks, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. We're on 4,250 something, heading towards 4,500. Obviously, help us out there by hitting subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and hit that bell notification. You'll be reminded every time the bus is on the road. Hit the like button, helps us out with the old algorithm. CSC gets the traction of the bus and more people's YouTube inboxes, recommended videos, and so on. And obviously, get involved in our comment section today. Leave comments after the video, because again, YouTube loves active channels and they promote them more. And of course, you can share the link of the Bhoycie Bus far and wide wherever you wish on social media. And of course, head over to piesports.com, which is in that corner, I think. Again, I always get it wrong. Basically, you see the logo there up above Reegan's head. You head over there, use the code BUS1888 and get yourself a nice 12.5% off your tasty pastry treats. And with all of that done, yes, the lineups are out, Reegan. So yes, as I usually do, breaking news. Yes, so let's have a wee look then. So I'm sure Twitter will have that for us. I'll just get that open just now. Get the old Celtic graphic up just now, because I had a feel that was one of the reasons why I thought 1 o'clock's probably a good time to go on, because the team sheet will come out while we are there. Because rather than speculate, but I've got a funny feeling there isn't going to be many surprises here. So let's have a wee look. I say that, and then let's have a look. Okay, so let's see: Hart, Johnston, Carter Vickers, Scales, Taylor, McGregor, O'Reilly, Hatate, Palmer, Maeda, and Kyogo. And your bench is Bain, Phillips, Yang, Tumble, O, Tomoki, Bernardo, Forrest, and Ralston. No surprises there at all, Reegan. Strongest team possible, I would say.
That's probably the strongest team you could put out there. It's probably the best team, and also the fact I think that bench probably looks the strongest it's probably looked all season long. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the game, and I'm particularly looking forward to seeing Palmer fill, because I think he's done really well for he's moved over from Greece. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. And I think as well, I think these are the kind of games that Kyogo really turns up in. So I'm just looking forward to see, hopefully, Celtic putting on a really good show today.
Yeah, without a shadow of doubt. I mean, it's really good to see the defence after all the issues we had at the start of the season, where every defender seemed to be cursed. They were all just going down with injuries. They're all starting to come back now. Carter Vickers being back is also huge, but obviously, because Reegan, you've not been on in a wee while, we need to get your take on it. The rise of Liam Scales, quite phenomenal it's been so far, hasn't it? Because nobody saw this coming. Again, how many times did we talk about it when Brendan came back, looking at his previous time at Celtic, where there's always players that you felt were on the scrap heap that they end up becoming really valuable first-team players. Liam Scales right now, he is, he can't really be dropped, can he, Reegan? He's in there on merit. He's doing really well. There's no reason for him to be dropped right now, and fair play to the lads. I know Nawrocki was deemed that he was back now in training and whatnot, but it's Scales' jersey to lose, isn't it?
Aye, definitely. And I think it's one of these things where even us as Celtic fans can say, well, he was playing at Aberdeen last season, maybe he's not up to it, but I think since Brendan's come in, he's been really good, and I know it's probably going to be a dad joke here, Phil, but he's really tipping those scales in terms of nobody really expected that from him in terms of the being in the starting spaces, because I really expected to see that see when that got signed in the transfer window. I expected him to be involved more, but it just shows you what Liam Scales has done. And obviously, I watched the last game at Celtic Park from home because it was raining, pouring the rain.
Yeah.
And I listened to Brendan after the game. And Brendan says it's been the biggest transformation during his managerial time. So that just shows you, Phil, that he's got full belief in what Liam Scales can do.
Yeah.
And I know Republic Island have been really, really bad over the past two or three seasons, but that's really good to see Liam Scales involved as a fully fledged international player.
Yeah.
I think it sort of reminds me of, remember when was it Ryan Christie went to Aberdeen?
He did, yeah.
And then Brendan brought him back, and then he scored that wonderful goal against Hearts.
Hearts, funny enough, yes.
At Murrayfield, he scored an absolute belter. Remember that day? There was two matches in one day.
Yes, right.
I think Rangers played the Aberdeen, and I think
Hampden. Yep.
Ferguson scored the last minute goal to win the match, and then Celtic played Aberdeen in the final. It was actually Ryan Christie that scored 1-0 in the final.
Ryan Christie could do no wrong at that point, and it was after a loan spell to Aberdeen. He came back in and he just took his chance, a bit like Liam Scales, where he was given the chance and he's taken it without a shadow of a doubt. You can't really, fault what he's done so far. He's looked a bit more, compared to when he's playing alongside Lagerbielke, who obviously it's still early days with Lagerbielke, but he's definitely looked a bit more accomplished alongside him, without a doubt.
Definitely. I think you look at in terms of Lagerbielke, he was brought for a lot of money. I think probably if you see it in isolation, right, you'd probably say Liam Scales has been a better player. You'd probably say he was a £3 million player, Phil.
I know. Aye. Oh, definitely for a shadow of a doubt. I think I've heard people say that one as well, where if we'd paid $3 million or something for a player of Liam Scales and he came in, he was playing the way he is, you would feel like justified in that fee so far. So yeah, fair play to the lad. But yeah, it is good to just see our defence obviously coming back. And there was a point made earlier on by Stephen Murray, says team picks itself these days. It is pretty much up at full strength right now after the cursed backline that we had for so long. But obviously the midfield at the moment, say O'Reilly, I was saying this, I think it was to Johnny Logue a couple of weeks ago, like player of the year candidate right now. The transformation in him has been quite incredible because obviously when he came in at first, Reegan, that first half season, we all felt like, this is a boy that's really going to go to the top. And then I felt last season he stagnated for a bit. Took ages to get his first goal last season, and when he finally did, that relief in his celebration when it finally was like he finally got a goal. But then this season is like he's always in the right place at the right time. That box to box midfielder, a loose ball falls to him in the area and he's there to finish it. With the exception of one game, it was against St Johnstone, where a couple of chances did fall to him and he just had a bad day. But ultimately, he's a good bet right now, I think, for an anytime scorer, isn't he, Reegan? O'Reilly's playing.
Oh, he definitely is. I think he's going to go right to the top. I think he's a great player. I think he could fit into any team and play well at the moment. I know people don't want to go back to it, but see, even last season under Ange Postecoglou, see when McGregor got injured against RB Leipzig, but don't forget, McGregor was out for about 4 months after that.
He was.
Mal really played there in the kind of, I would say, the number 8 position, where he's not kind of used to that. He's more used to the number 10 kind of position, but try to float. So I think he's a very good player, and I think obviously Brendan Rodgers has took him to a new level. Because for me, that St Johnstone game you talk about, you could have probably had 3 or 4 goals in the first 20 minutes.
He squandered a few.
And I think it was Ian Crocker and Andy Walker last season says he's had the most shots in the Premier League without scoring a goal. And I think he scored with about 3 games to go last season, right? And that was his first goal of the season. And I mean, it's probably no secret, but I'm sure if he's watching it from last season and he's seen Matt O'Reilly, he's probably said to him, you need to go and score more goals because you're more than capable of doing it. And that goal against Motherwell could be so crucial in this race.
Yeah, oh God, yes. Really.
I was in this flat and I was screaming my head off. That goal. You know, I think my next door neighbour was running to see if I was alright. No, she wasn't really. But I mean, it was just one of those games where Rangers were playing against Aberdeen and we knew we had to win that game.
Yep.
So that was just so important. And I think he's been so important. And I think, see, because Jota left, Phil, I don't know if he's took on that extra importance as a player now.
Yeah. Can be the sort of, the talisman of the team, essentially. But no, the goal against Motherwell, it has a feeling of the Tony Ralston one up at Ross County a few years ago, where looks like we're not going to get out of there with the 3 points, and then just the absolute death of the game right at the very, 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 very end. It couldn't have been much later to score that goal. It was a fantastic moment. It's just a shame it wasn't live on telly. It was on that whole pay-per-view stuff because I had to make do listening on the radio because my computer that I'm sitting in front of, it's a bit old. So using streaming websites with lots of pop-ups and ads and stuff is probably the best idea. My computer's kind on its last legs these days. And I wasn't really wanting to be paying more money on top of what I'm already paying for watching Scottish football. So I missed all that. I had to make do with the radio. But when I saw the goals and that, the highlights back, O'Reilly, just right place, right time. Just make sure he gets on the end of it. And I say he's doing those runs now. That's been added to his game. Those are the classic number 8, the box-to-box midfielder. He gets in there, gets on the end, balls into the box and finishes it with a plum.
He definitely is. I know people were criticising, Celtic have just scored against Rangers. Celtic have won the lot. I'm just watching on Sky Sports, Phil.
The women's team are playing just now, yes.
Aye, Celtic.
There you go. Go Celtic girls.
Aye.
Any win over Rangers is a good win.
Definitely. But no, I mean, I think he's just went to a totally new level under Brendan Rodgers. Like I said on Twitter the other day, he's probably been the best player in Scotland so far this season. And that says a lot because I remember this time last season, people were saying that they would take O'Reilly moving on. But see, you look at it now, he became so important to the squad.
He has, man. And yeah, he's also played well. And obviously, I said this to David on Friday night as well. Another player, I know, Reegan, you do take a vested interest in the national team. Of course, in the time that we were off there, Scotland did actually qualify for the Euros, albeit they didn't have to kick a ball on the day they officially qualified. Spain did as a wee favour there. But Cal McGregor comes back into the Celtic side, with that now in the back of his mind that he's got that to look forward to next summer. So I know that McGregor's performances have been probably not at his best, but I wouldn't say they've been absolutely awful by any means. But I think if something like that's probably going to give him a wee perk up as well for the success that's going on there and having that big tournament to look forward to. Because, as much as many fans don't particularly enjoy international football and it's always club over country, for the players and the chance to play in these tournaments, that's something that they want to do, especially Scotland, who don't usually qualify. But right now we're going through a bit of a purple patch. So you've got to imagine, Reegan, that, McGregor's going to have a wee spring in his step now as well. I think it'll add to his game for the next for the rest of the season. You're just knowing that is coming up as well, a real showpiece event for him to be part of.
Aye, because these are kind of showcase moments for players. I know we talked about playing for Celtic against Rangers, but McGregor's going to be playing in a second consecutive European Championships. He's probably going to win the league again with Celtic and go straight into the Champions League again. So I think it's great news for him in terms of doing his profile. The world are good, and it's also good for Celtic to know that we've got players that are doing well. And like you say, I think the job Steve Clarke has done has been really good. think the last time I was on the show, we actually spoke about would Steve Clark would he be a good manager for Celtic
in the future? Yeah, somewhere down the line.
Yeah, and I think Steve Clark's a very good manager, and I think what he's done with Cal McGregor's very good as well because I think you can clearly see, Cal McGregor, he enjoys managers that he can learn something from, and I think, when he goes away with Scotland now, I think you can see he's totally enjoying it, and I think Brendan will say to him, look, if you can win this with Celtic, you can go off to a 2024 European Championship. So I think McGregor's going to be looking forward to the rest of the season.
He is. He definitely is. And of course, on Friday night, me and David were talking about this because he brought this up and I completely forgot that just at the start of the international break, Maeda was sent back from the Japan team because he had an injury, but he's made the team today. So he does start because we were contemplating on Friday, what if he doesn't make it? Does Yang get a game? Most likely, I would have said Yang, but does a wild James Forrest appear out of nowhere or Mikey Johnston even get a start? But in the end, it's Maeda that's getting the start. He's in the team and yeah, he has been one as well that has definitely, I think he's coming on to a game now under Brendan. I think, his goal scoring ratio isn't exactly great, but, for the work that he does in the wing and the praise that Brendan obviously heaped on him at the Livingston game when we were down to 10 men, and he obviously said, look, when you've got Tyson Maeda on the park, you're never down to 10 men because he does the shift of two players with that energy that he's got, and he really is becoming such a vital player, because again, it was one of those ones, Reegan, when Brendan came in and Ange had left. Many people probably outside the Celtic bubble more than actually Celtic fans were saying, all those Japanese players are going to leave now. But no, they all seem to be buying in. I think Maeda's a very crucial part in this system under Brendan, just for the energy levels that he's got. Because he could just run all day, mate. He can just keep going and going, never runs out of puff.
That game against you mentioned the Tony Macaroni, I was kind of fearing the worst when we went down to 10 men, but like you said, I think Maeda is just really showing what a team player he is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it showed much in the second half when we went down to 10 men. The fact that he was tracking back and he was making sure that nobody was getting by him. And I think sometimes that can go unnoticed with Maeda. I know sometimes we want him to score a lot of goals, but sometimes when in Scottish football, Phil, a lot of these teams like to try and pressure you and put balls in the box. See if you get Maeda chasing them down.
Yeah.
Then they get even more tired. So I think it's very important for Celtic to have someone like Maeda. But the one thing that does worry me, Phil, is that I do think that Maeda is the second striker.
Striker, yes.
Because for me, he's not really trusting O yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I mentioned this on the radio the other night in terms of what do you reckon Brendan's got up his sleeve in January? Because Celtic fans have not really spoke about it. I don't know if you guys have mentioned it much, but there's a lot of players that Celtic have recruited from Asia, and they all go away in January.
They do, for the Asian Cup. Yep, that's right.
Kyogo, Maeda, Yang, and I know Kobayashi, but he's not really a first team pick. So we've got all of these players that are going to be away. So we need to have a plan. As much as we say the scouting's been okay from Matt Lillard, which it has, it's been okay. It's still been great. It's still been great as people work out, because if you guys look at it, Maeda, Kyogo, these guys were all like 3 or 4 transfer windows ago. So you can see the transfer business being great, but these guys were all 3 or 4 transfer windows ago.
Yep.
And when I say that, Phil, the Rangers have just scored. So it's now. But yeah, I mean, one thing that needs to improve for me, Phil, is the transfer business in January. Because even though if we've still got this 7-point lead, 7 points still is a very good one to have, but also is one where you need to be very cautious.
Yeah, I've seen Celtic lose a 7-point lead before in the season. Strachan's final season, twice in the sort of second half of the season, we got ourselves 7 points in front and still managed to lose the league that season. So yeah, it's not one that I always feel more comfortable when it goes into a double points lead. Then I feel a bit better. 7's a nice wee cushion, although I should say it's actually 4 just now because they obviously did win yesterday. We now need to push them back a wee bit, just like we had to do multiple times last season. But yeah, the way the fixtures are working out this first half of the season, we're going to be playing after them quite a lot.
Yeah.
Due to their involvement in the Europa League and still being in the League Cup, they're going to have some games postponed to accommodate League Cup fixtures. So you'd like to think that we will further extend that league. But yeah, ultimately, as long as we keep doing the business, we should keep them at arm's length. Because today, though, obviously the opponents, Hearts, the jammed Hearts, the old Jambos, are a good enemy of Celtic. Outside of Rangers, probably the fiercest game that we play every season, particularly at Tynecastle. Bit of a weird one when we go to Tynecastle, Reegan. Either one or two things. There's very few instances, I think, where we go there and just get what you would call a routine win. We just go maybe a wee 2-0. You know, it happens every so often. Usually we either go there and we have to really grind it out and it's like a narrow victory, or there's other times we turn up and we just absolutely batter them. I can remember a game in the Scottish Cup about a decade ago where we put 7 past them. Mickey Lustig scored an absolute worldie from outside area. It's unbelievable. But yeah, that's what you seem to get at Tynecastle. There's days where you turn up and we put them to the sword. We did it last season in the Scottish Cup. We beat them 3-0. It was an absolute breeze that day. They barely laid a glove on us. But then you look at the other game earlier in the season, the 4-3 game, which... no more of that, please. Honestly, no more 4-3s. That was a
don't forget, that was the first day of the year.
It was.
And this marks a year from that game. This marks a year from that match because it was this time last year was the first VR match in Scotland, which was Celtic away to Tynecastle.
Mm-hmm. It was. And it's quite interesting. I looked up that game earlier on just to do a bit of research, and I completely forgot Giakoumakis scored in that game. It was that long ago. But see last season felt like such a long season, and it's because the World Cup happened midway through the season. That's why. And it was like, I forgot Giakoumakis was even scored in that game. That must have been one of his last goals for the club before leaving in the January window. But it feels like an eternity ago, that one, when you actually look at the goal scorers. But yeah, no more of that, please, today, Celtic. Hopefully they do go and they get a nice routine victory, because ultimately, yeah, it'd be great to go there and just blow them away and beat them comfortably. We'd absolutely love that. We always do against them because it's Hearts. But at this stage right now, any win will do. Any win at all is vital, because just to be getting that 3 points on the board, if we can do it with any sort of style, great, that's a bonus. But my concern first and foremost is just get the 3 points on the board, Celtic, however you do.
Definitely. I mean, one of the big things for Hearts, though, fellas, is that they'll be expecting a big showing today, because look at the last couple of games. They've got off Dundee. They've got they off Dundee. They drew with him, so they'll be expecting a little bit of bounce back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they will.
Maybe if they were going into the game, they were winning a few games, the fans would maybe, I'm not going to say be less hard on them, but see, when they've lost their last few games, they'll be expecting a bit of a reaction, would I say?
Yeah, definitely will, because Hearts, say the last 5 games, they've won 2, they've drew 2, or they've lost 2 and they've drew 1, and obviously the draw was the last game out at Tynecastle against Hibs, so they were 2-0 up and they squandered a 2-goal lead to them. But obviously they're sitting currently 4th in the table, so it's always a bit of an odd ground for us to go to. Can provide a whole array of different performances. We have an absolute shocker. Brendan did suffer his worst ever domestic defeat here, losing 4-0 in December 2017, which was just an absolute freak of a day.
When Cochrane scored that goal.
Yeah, and Siminovic just had an absolute nightmare falling on his awful day. But yeah, I say, we maybe just turn up and we absolutely cruise it. But yeah, they made quite a strange decision early in the season, because they started the season with Frank McAvoy as their manager, and then they did a sort of switch over. Stephen Naismith was called technical director or something. Then they did a switch a few games into the season, and now Stephen Naismith is the manager. And I believe McAvoy's been demoted essentially to one of his coaches or assistants, and it's such a weird one, but either way, it's going to be Stevie Naismith. It's going to be the opposing manager. So from a Celtic point of view, I'm sure we would all very, very much enjoy it to see him raging at the end of the game today, because I don't think many Celtic fans have got much love for Mr. Naismith, to say the least, when he played for the noisy neighbours across the road, shall we say. But of course, in their team, we've got to be wary. They have got a few danger men. I always feel as well, Reegan, I don't know about you, but we seem to have a terrible track record at Tynecastle conceding penalties. And unfortunately, Hearts have got a guy that never seems to miss penalties, Lawrence Shankland. He even scored 2 against us in the one game last season.
We've got Joe Hart, who can't save a penalty.
Well, yeah, that's true. The one time he did manage to save one in a competitive game, it sadly will be kind of forgotten because it was that Feyenoord game, wasn't it? Aye, it's there's David coming into the chat. He says he'll see you again one day. Yes, David, one day. We're hoping you can.
I miss you, David. I know me and you're a lot of banner, but I miss you, mate.
Oh, that's fluffy. Because yeah, if David missed the very start of the show, I did tell the viewers about your latest plight after your return on Friday night. A joiner has basically damaged your fibre optic cable in your house, and now you need to get it fixed. So you're internetless again. So yeah, he can't get on to do the show. He just has to make do with hotspotting on his phone just now, sadly. But yeah, the same with the game today. We're hoping that they just turn up and have a nice routine victory would be good. Just one that's not too stressful. But Reegan, one of the big headlines going into this game, and it's something that keeps coming up all season. It seems like we can't have an away game without this being a talking point, but obviously the away allocations and so on. Hearts are another one of the teams that has reduced Celtic's allocation, and I believe in the run-up to this one, they reduced it again. I saw a picture this morning that the judge retweeted, and this is a picture of the away end at Tynecastle this morning. That is the allocation. That is the section that Celtic fans will have, and they've even put an advertising banner in the bottom corner just to cover up even more seats and take some more seats off potential Celtic fans. Where does this madness end? Does it ever end? Is it just going to be a case of these teams are going to keep locking us? And to a degree, yes, Rangers as well. They get the same treatment from the likes of Hibs, St Mirren, Hearts, and so on. But of course, they are the two teams, Celtic and Rangers, that carry the biggest support and can bring in the most money for these teams. And with the amount of money that's in Scottish football, or lack of money, it's a bit mad that they're doing this, especially when you see the game today, Reegan. There will not be a full house in the Hearts end. You will see a few maroon seats scattered around here and there. So I don't think they justify it very well.
No, it's just to try and get a sporting advantage. That's all it is. They're trying to do. They're saying they're trying to bring in their own fans. They're just trying to gain a sporting advantage. That's all it is. Because for me, at the end of the day, it's all about the product. I said this on the radio the other night. I mean, there needs to be a time where, I think Brendan Rodgers said it's spot on, there needs to be something put in place, legislation, where the club must agree on a certain number, because it's getting childish. It's getting absolutely childish. It's like, I don't know. I just can't be bothered with it anymore. I mean, like, everybody and their granny down in England don't want to watch Scottish football. We should be trying to attract that. Do you not agree? I mean,
definitely.
These are the big occasions. Celtic versus Hearts, Rangers versus Hearts, Hibs versus Celtic. These are the games you want to see the most fans there. All the fans singing and enjoying themselves. You don't want to see fans locked at stadiums. Do you know what I mean? Like, that. I know people would say, oh, well, Celtic should just forget the 500. No, I would rather be there. I would rather be there and say, right, well, we're just going to take it. Same with Edwards now. I think you should just take it. Because for me, at the end of the day, is if you take it, then at least we've got some fans there. Because I think it's a great idea to have at least some fans there. Because I know that people say, well, it doesn't make that much of a difference, but I'm sure it does to the players.
Yeah, it does. Aye, without a shadow of a doubt.
And I think the problem that Brendan Rodgers did the last time, I think he won too much for Scottish football to enjoy it. Because he's come back up here and he's going, what the hell have we done? What the hell's happened?
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, there needs to be a thing where you sit and go, as a level-headed fan, watching that game, do you enjoy seeing less fans in the stadium just for... And, like, Stephen Naismith said this thing about over the past 6 or 7 years, Hearts have really grown their brand. Now, I get that right, they've really grown their brand, but like, Celtic are offering these clubs allocations when they come to Celtic Park, and often they don't even show up. Often they don't even show up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or there'll be, I say, plenty of maroon seats scattered around today as you're watching the game. Guarantee it. I think one of my mates in another group chat that I'm in sent us a screen grab the other day, and it's for like the Hearts ticket website, the Roseburn stand, which is the one behind the goal that Celtic would always normally have gotten. And there was still a lot of like seats that hadn't been bought yet. So I'll be interested to see when the game kicks off how that looks, because it's getting ridiculous now. I mean, I know it was brought up a few weeks ago. I think Mark mentioned it. But yes, St Mirren did something obviously last year where they reduced the allocation, but they had something in the sort of fine print of the survey they sent to their fans about, if we do this, would you be willing to basically supplement it with like a £30 donation? And then later on, and a few months later, they then hit them with that news like, oh, well, you voted for this. Now you need to basically give us this essentially because that's supplement. It's like,
did that not happen with St Mirren, Phil?
I was St Mirren. I say Love Street, St Mirren's whatever new ground it's called these days. But yeah, they did. They put it out, and yeah, they then asked their fans to cough up basically a £30 donation to supplement it. It's like, well, this could all have been avoided if you just kept the away allocations for both Celtic and Rangers when they come to town, because they bring the biggest support. And it's like this would all be avoided, but I don't know. They just, any advantage it gets, people are saying in the chat, it's just anything they can do to just try and stifle us in any way they can. And hopefully, again, it backfires on them today and we get another victory at Tynecastle. Because recently, I know in my mind, it's always one of these grounds that, God, we've got a bit of a bad record there, but we actually don't. We've actually done no bad in recent years. We've been a while since, we lost under Ange at the start of his first season, right at the very start when he was picking up the pieces of a very, very broken squad. But that was like a last-minute goal, wasn't it, by Suter, I think, scored the winner, like really late on. But we should have won that game because, remember, Abada had a goal disallowed wrongly for offside. Yes, remember all that happened as well. So hopefully we're not seeing anything like that. But hey, with VAR in play, you'd like to think that VAR will do its job and keep on, if anything does happen in that sort of, type of controversy, it'll all be worked out and it'll all be fine. But yeah, as we've seen recently, Reegan and world football in general, VAR's still getting it massively wrong all over the place, it seems. So can't really trust that neither. But another player I just wanted to bring up as well regarding the game that I never got to in the team lineup, because obviously he's a guy that I think a lot of us are expecting big things from. I think his recent performances, he's starting to really pick up the pace a wee bit. Desperately unlucky in the Lazio game with what happened with the goal. But Lewis Palmer, is he the successor to Jota? Is he going to be the heir apparent? Obviously, we brought him in for $3.5 million near the end of the transfer window. Many fans feel we probably could have got him a bit earlier in the window, but either way, he's in. But I think he's starting to pick up now. I think his performances recently, the goal against Kilmarnock was top draw for me. Just the way he controlled it and then just bent it into the near post. I said to David on Friday night, I just felt like the atmosphere was so flat at the Killie game. I felt like, man, that goal deserved to have like a sort of bigger like roar of the crowd, more people there to see it, because it was a top class finish. And as I say with the Lazio game, so desperately unlucky at what happened. If it doesn't graze off of Maeda's shin, essentially, that's a goal, and that's the small difference in the end. But how you think about Palmer? How have you rated him so far in his performances?
I think he's grew on me, Phil. I think he's really shown his promise over the past few weeks. Obviously, he pops on in the Motherwell game, and I was getting a little bit worried because Brendan chose James Forrest to come on before him, and he also chose Yang to come on before him. And I thought, oh no, is this a kind of Brendan showing signs that maybe he's favouring a veteran James Forrest over someone that we were hoping that would be the new Jota, if you could call him that. But I think when he came on against Motherwell, he showed his promise, and then when he scored against Lazio, but my friend beside me actually said to me he thought the goal was offside with Palmer, so I kind of muted my celebrations a little bit. And obviously, when you find out for real, it was a big shame because I think over the past few weeks he's shown his promise as a player, and hopefully he's someone that we can start to rely on the same way we did with Jota, because see, with Jota, he always showed up in the big games against Hearts, against Rangers, and against Aberdeen. You know what I mean? You could always rely on him. So hopefully Palmer's the same, because I've got to say, Phil, I've not been impressed with Yang over the past few weeks. I think he's probably one of these bracket ones where see if you bring in a project from Japan, this is what you're going to get. Sometimes you're going to get players that are no ready-made. They're just raw and very young.
Yeah.
You know, not every player that you buy is going to be a Kyogo or a Maeda. You're always going to get one or two that are not going to be out there, as we've seen with Kwon as well as.
Well, that's a real strange one. That Kwon, he played the Athletic Bilbao game, or half of it anyway, and he's not been seen on the park since. And it's like, wow, that's a real ringing endorsement there. Given what Brendan Rodgers said in the summer about how he's happy with the transfer policy and he'll coach the players that he's basically given, essentially. And Kwon just he ain't featuring at all just now. He ain't getting anywhere near that team. But with Yang, like. I remember when he first came on, it was against Dundee. I think we played Dundee at Celtic Park. And the very first thing that he did was there was a throw into him and he just got his head down and he just ran at the Dundee defence in a straight line. And it's like a winger should do, just like really go at the fullbacks. And I was like, well, this looks good. And there's a real bit of pace about him. But his end product is definitely lacking at the moment. But the word he used there, Reegan, I think is right. Raw. Definitely raw is something to describe Yang at the moment. And again, it goes back to project player. You know, he is a project player for a reason. You know, there's a lot of development to be done, and that's what Brendan Rodgers is going to look to do. Turn him into an established player, and then Celtic will sell him on for some kind of profit in a couple of years' time once he's established and got a bit of notoriety about him. But right now, obviously, we're at a point where we need players that can come onto the park and produce, especially on days like today, because I say yesterday they obviously won. They've got the new manager bounce. They got it quite resoundingly, it seems. You know, they blew Hibs away. We play Hibs next week while they play Hearts as well. So it's a bit of a switcheroo, these two fixtures back to back, where we've got Hibs and Hearts away, they've got Hibs and Hearts at home. But yeah, we in terms of the players right now, we just need them to just go out there today and just get the points on the board, whatever means necessary. But before we do, obviously, prediction stuff, Reegan, and usually when I'm on any sort of Bhoycie Bus show, there's usually some element of going down memory lane involved, some sort of time traveling. As I say, this is a bit of a powder keg fixture. It's produced a word I always like to use, a slobber knocker from time to time. So any of your favourite standout memories of trips to Tynecastle for Celtic over the years? Any games that come to mind?
Yeah, there's a few. I'll start off with two, right? As people will want to hear this, do you know what I mean? This is a bad word. It was the day Brendan Rodgers left. That dreadful day, the whole world went into World War III, Phil. You know?
An epic game at Tynecastle, yes. And
Odson Edwards scored the last minute. And I just remember Neil Lennon and Kieran Tierney going nuts on the bench.
Yes.
With Damien Duff. What a game that was, because I think when Hearts got that penalty, you feared for the worst. Because I think at that point as well, I think we were something like 5 points ahead. So we needed to get that 8 points ahead. And that just kind of helped us along, because I think Rangers played, I think it was Hamilton that night. They beat them, and then they were just kind of waiting on us.
Yeah.
Flipping up.
So the news would have filtered through at Ibrox that we'd scored a late winner. Yep.
Oh, definitely. And I think that's something that it's a kind of cliche, Phil, but that's something that kind of steadies people, because if Neil Lennon, if he comes in that second time and it stays 1-1 and it goes down to 5 points, it could be totally different. But because that gap remained at 8 points, it really kind of steadied everybody at Celtic, and then Celtic moved on from there. And then they had that famous Edward and Griffiths partnership.
Yeah. See that game that you're talking about, the one when Edward scored the late winner. Am I right in saying that it was Forrest that scored the first one, but it was all down to Ollie Buck, who basically ran 80 yards at full pace and then just squared it to him and he tapped it in. One of the best things Ollie Buck did in a Celtic shirt, because the only thing that he really had was blistering pace. He was ridiculous when he got up to full speed. And yeah, I can remember the first goal that night where he just ran about, definitely from inside his own half, and just got by every Hearts player and then just squared it across to James Forrest, who tapped it in. And it was and there's also the penalty we gave away that night. I think Neil Lennon must have just came in and said, look, whatever you're doing under Brendan Rodgers, just keep doing it. And we get caught out at the back. And Chris Faraya gets caught out at the back, basically, trying to pass it out and makes a complete hash of it, and we give away a penalty, which obviously results in them getting a goal back. So we've got a bad record of conceding penalties. But on the subject of penalties, going back to Ange Postecoglou's first season when we were heading towards the title run-in, obviously we beat them 2-1 that night when Hatate scored an absolute blinder from Craig Gordon is still trying to figure out how it got past him that quickly, and Giacomakis scored. Do you remember the penalty that Hearts missed that night? Liam Bhoycie hit the post, rolled along the line and hit the other post. That was one of those. We talk about the Ralston moment in that season, but that Liam Bhoycie penalty miss was a huge moment that season.
It was, because that was a big swing as well. Don't forget, Rangers are 7 points ahead under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, and Celtic managed to turn that about. So no, it was a massive day. And speaking about Hearts, I remember one where Celtic won 5-0 and Brendan Rodgers won the league.
Yes, Scott Sinclair hat-trick. He was playing as a striker that day.
Paddy Roberts scored a few as well, didn't he?
Paddy Roberts scored, I think Armstrong scored.
Paddy Roberts scored a belter right in the top corner that day.
Yeah. Well, there's the thing. You look at Scott Sinclair, who was a winger, but he played through the middle that night or that day, and you're looking at, say, what's going on with Maeda right now, who's a winger. And it's like, putting him through the middle, you're hoping that you can see something like that happen when he plays middle. Because he did score a hat-trick playing as a striker in pre-season, didn't he, when we had one of the games out in Japan? He netted a hat-trick playing as a centre-forward, and that's when he played for the Japanese national team.
Scored against his old team, Yokohama.
He did, aye.
Oh no, Rangers have just scored 2-1 Rangers now.
I see on Sky Sports News on the left-hand side, they keep on going back to the clips of it. So I just seen it there that they're 2-1 up now. And somebody's as Punch has come in and said, yes, Cows have just scored. Yeah, I see that. But yeah, see the Hearts game. I remember Brendan's very first game as well, competitively. Well, compared domestically, his first competitive game was that Lincoln Red Imps game in Gibraltar, which we try not to talk about. But obviously his first domestic game was away at Hearts, which was a strange one because we were the league champions and we had to start the season away from home that year. And I can't remember the exact reason. Maybe it was something to do with we were getting a pitch relayed or something. But yeah, we started at Tynecastle. And that was the one when, again, Scott Sinclair comes off the bench. He literally just met the team that morning, I believe. Flew in, met the team, was on the bench. And then, again, a lum-busting run for Griffiths down the wing. And he just, you see Sinclair running right through the middle. And he picks him out perfectly with that pass. Gets a nice wee glance and touch on it. And what a way to welcome yourself, or basically to announce yourself to the Celtic fans. But do you remember, Reegan, as he ran behind the goal celebrating, a Hearts fan takes a swing at him, trying to punch him?
Aye. I do remember that. Remember the guy on the pitch try assault
Neil Lennon. Yep.
There's loads of examples, but no, I mean, some of the away days at Hearts have been brilliant, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think in me, to be honest. What other games was at Hearts?
Well, the only time I've actually been to Tynecastle for an away day was in 2014. I got tickets to it when we still got the full Roseburn stand. Yes, those were the days. Definitely one of the best away days I've ever had. The atmosphere, people talk about the Tynecastle atmosphere, and they're right. It is really good. It's really intense there, and you're really close to the park. But we beat them 2-0 that day, and Griffiths scored his first goal for the club. It was like a big long ball out of defence, and he turns, whoever the Hearts defender is, he totally does him with a wee turn and then fires it right into the far corner and goes and celebrates right in front of the Hearts fans. And obviously they took it well, as you can imagine.
Oh, were you at that game,
I was at that one. That's what I beat Tynecastle.
What a game. I think it was Griffith's first game, wasn't it? Was it his first game?
It was his first goal. He played a few games for us at that point, but that was his first goal for the club. Was at Tynecastle. Of all the places for him to score his first goal, it was quite appropriate that it was at Tynecastle, given and being a massive Hibs fan. But yeah, see, the Hearts fans took it very well, as you would expect. And when you mentioned earlier on, I'd said about those days when we turned up and we just rattled them sometimes, like beating them 7-0 in a cup game back in 2013. See, Mikael Lustig scored one of the best goals, or definitely the best goal I've ever seen him score. But yeah, he rattled one in from outside the area, pinged off the crossbar and in, and it's like, I would really love for us to turn up the day and just do something like that to them, just absolutely wipe the floor with them. A nice simple victory, just brush them aside. But you still know, it's a bit of a lottery whenever we go to Tynecastle or what we're going to get.
I always say these matches, Phil, but see if you can get an early goal. That's when they really lose the whole momentum in the game. So see if you get an early goal and then the kind of head drops a little bit. I know it's a cliche, but that's what usually happens because they see the longer they stay in the game, the longer they kind of believe that they can steal something from the game. But they always do seem to get a penalty because I remember
I know.
Was it Brendan Rodgers' first match at Tynecastle?
Jamie Walker with a scandalous dive, yes.
I remember John Beaton pointing to the spot. Man.
Yep.
Who's the referee today, Phil?
I believe it is Nick Walsh. I'm not 100% sure, but usually some guys in another group chat I'm in on Facebook usually report who the ref is, and I saw them say through the week something about Nick Walsh is the ref, so... yeah, that's what it is. We just need to get on with it. As long as we're good enough on the day, the referee shouldn't be a factor. So, yeah, we just need to make sure we go and get it done. But Reegan, we're coming up to about 50 minutes and kickoffs in less than half an hour. So, I guess we'll just do the old predictions then of what we think, how it's going to go. So, Reegan, how do you see it going, mate? What's your score prediction and a first scorer?
First scorer. I'm going to go for Maeda, and I'm going to say 3-1 to Celtic. So if anybody's looking for a bet, that's both teams to score at
Maeda. Good shout, mate. I'll say as long as it gets 3 points. For me, I'll just go for, I know I said at the top of the show, I thought about routine wins aren't exactly the norm at Tynecastle. We don't tend to get them that much. We did have one, though, at the end of last season. I thought the day that we won the league officially, I thought was pretty routine. I felt like we were relatively in control of the game for the majority of it. We won 2-0. So I'll go for a 2-0 as well. Kyogo will, in fact, Kyogo and Palmer to score both the goals. I think Palmer will keep up his run of good for him and we'll net one today. But ultimately, at the end of the day, as long as Celtic get the 3 points, no matter what the score is, that's all that matters. Now, of course, later on today, the link is already up for PMP. Russell will be on with Terry at 4:30 because, yeah, it's a 2:15 kickoff, so it should finish about 4ish. But yeah, 4:30 for PMP today. Russell and Terry shall be on for that. And I say, hopefully, they'll be talking about a resounding Celtic victory and we'll be celebrating our 3 points and going back to 7 points top of the table. And then, of course, Reegan, we've only then got the small matter of Diego Simeone and Atletico Madrid coming to town midweek. Yikes. So that's a scary prospect of the way things are currently going in our European campaign. But the luck has to turn around somewhere. But we will be covering that. Obviously, Monday Club will be on. And there'll probably be a show on Tuesday. It might be a wee Judgement Day episode because we and Mark do a wee rotation thing at the moment with Bustalgia and Judgement Day. So we might do that before the Atletico game the night before.
Are you going to Atletico?
I'll be at it, mate. Yeah, I'll be there. I was talking to Johnny Logue a couple weeks ago on the Friday show just after the Lazio defeat and saying it. Like, obviously, depths of despair the way we lost to Lazio, but I just know the naive, gullible fool that I am, when this Atletico Madrid game rolls around on Wednesday, I'll be going there with all the enthusiasm that this is it. We're going to do it. This is our European campaign starts now. And I'm just hoping that I'm not coming out with a similar feeling on Wednesday night of, not again. We need to turn it around somewhere. Why not Wednesday night? But we'll obviously talk about that as we get closer to it. First and foremost, we need to get Hearts dealt with. So yeah, guys, we will head off now. And yeah, go get whatever tasty treats you need to get for the game and enjoy it. And PMP will be on at 4:30 after the game, so be sure to tune in for that. And yeah, guys, we will catch you later. Reegan, it was good to see you. Hopefully, you're not away for another month again, and we can get you on regular. Hopefully, David Logue is all up and running by next Sunday. everything is fine and we can get a dignified 4-man Sunday Blether back again with Mark and David, you and me, the way it always was. We can get that going again next week, potentially. But we'll head off, and everyone enjoy the game wherever you watch it, and we'll catch you later. On the hoops.
Enjoy the game on the